everybody, this is Mr. Hinojosa. Today we're going to talk about how to properly open our case and also label the different parts of the trumpet. So let's get started. Okay, number one, I want you to put your case on a flat surface. It can be a table, it can be a floor preferably, okay, but definitely don't put it in your lap. Okay, your lap tends to be wiggly and wobbly and it might slip off and fall. We don't want to damage the instrument. So that's lesson number one. Make sure you find a flat surface, like I said, a floor or a table, or if you're in your bedroom, that's going to be your practice room, maybe your desk or your bed. Okay, but put it flat on the table, flat on your surface, and then you're going to notice a couple of things about your case. One, you have latches. Okay, and then also you have an emblem at the top of your case. Okay, it might say the brand of the trumpet. Okay, and if you don't have that, then what I want you to look for is there's usually two different sizes to the case. The top part will be the smaller size, and then the bottom part will be larger. Okay, and you want to make sure the small part is up. Okay, once you have that configured correctly, then we're going to open the case. Okay, we'd unlatch, pretty simple to operate, or you would unzip depending on the case. Okay, we're going to lift up the case, the top part, and notice nothing falls out. And inside we have our trumpet and a mouthpiece. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and you can just look at it, okay, I'm going to pull the trumpet out and the mouthpiece, and we're going to label all the different parts of the instrument. Okay, so I'm going to close the case, and then I'll just show you guys all the different parts. Okay, let's start over here on this side. Right here we have the mouthpiece. Okay, and this mouthpiece would go right into this pipe, okay, which is called the mouthpiece receiver. And that makes pretty much easy sense, right? Our mouthpiece is going into that pipe, which receives it. So that's the mouthpiece receiver. So we have the mouthpiece and the mouthpiece receiver. Then we go through this pipe that leads us to the rest of the horn, and that's called your lead pipe. Okay, notice that it just leads the air that we're going to be blowing through it through the rest of the horn. So it's our lead pipe. Okay, now the next part you see on the trumpet is going to be this little slide right here. Okay, and this is called your first valve slide. And the reason it's called your first valve slide is that it's connected to the first valve. Okay, you can see that pipe going up and down, and it leads into that valve casing. Okay, right here you have a thumb ring or a thumb saddle depending on the shape. Okay, and we're going to learn how to put our thumb through that when we learn how to hold the instrument. Okay, now our next part we get to is a small little pipe right here, and this is called our second valve slide. Okay, so we had our first valve slide, now our second valve slide. Okay, now I'm going to turn the instrument around so I can show you the third valve slide, and that is over here. Okay, the third valve slide is connected to this third valve, and it's long. Okay, so those are the three valve slides that we have. Our first valve slide, our second valve slide, and then the third valve slide. Okay, now the next thing we see are these valve caps. Okay, and that's where your fingers will go. Your pointer finger, middle finger, and your ring finger. 1, 2, and 3 is what we'll label them as. And then we have these, of course, the valve casings or the valves themselves. Okay, so we have from the beginning mouthpiece, mouthpiece receiver, lead pipe. Then we have our first valve slide, our first valve slide ring or thumb saddle. Then we have our second valve slide, and then, like it said on the back, the third valve slide. Okay, valve caps, valve casings. Next thing we see on our trumpet is this little curved hook, and that is called the pinky rest. Okay, we will actually learn when we hold the instrument to rest our pinky on top of it. Okay, now we get to this part right here, this loop that happens, and this is called our main tuning slide. We are able to adjust the focus of our sound by simply making the tuning slide longer or shorter. Okay, so at the end of that slide, that main tuning slide, is a water key. Our moisture will start collecting in our instrument, and we'll need to release that, and that's going to be our water key that allows us to do that. Okay, now the last part of the instrument is this big flare. Okay, and it is called the bell. Okay, real simple. The sound is going to be coming out of that, and that projects our sound to the rest of the room. Okay, now you might have an extra water key on the third valve slide, and some of us don't. It's just a feature some instruments will have and some won't. It's not a big deal, okay? But you might have that on yours so that you will know what that is. That's your third valve water key, okay? So let's go over them from the beginning. We have our mouthpiece. We have our mouthpiece receiver. We have our first valve slide. We have our thumb ring or thumb saddle. We have our valve caps. We have our valve casings, okay, or valves themselves. Okay, then we have our second valve slide. On the back, we have our third valve slide. It also has a third valve slide ring, okay, that we can put our finger through. Okay, and then we have our main tuning slide. And at the end of the main tuning slide, we have a water key. And last but not least, it's our bell. So those are the different parts of the trumpet. Okay, make sure you know them well so that when we refer to them later in our lessons, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.